Hi everyone, this is Miss Felice. Today we're going to learn how to compare rational numbers on a number line. Let's first start by looking at how to put a fraction on a number line. We're going to start with the number 3/8, which I know is less than 1 whole, which is why 3/8 is going to go between 0 and 1. In 3/8, my denominator is 8, so I need to break this number line into eighths, which means I need to have 8 little segments in between 0 and 1, in between my two whole numbers. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the 8th one would be 1 whole, because 8/8 is the same thing as 1 whole. So this would be 1/8, 2/8, 3/8 would be right here. 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8 is the same thing as 1 whole. For my next fraction, -2/5, I have, because this is negative, our number line is going to be going in the opposite direction. Between 0 and -1 is where I need to put -2/5. So because my denominator is 5, I am breaking this number line up into 5 segments. I need fifths on this number line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then -1 would be the same thing as -5/5. 5 out of 5 is 1 whole. So we would have -1/5. This one would be -2/5, -3/5, -4/5. So we try to break it up nice and evenly, and then we can go and start from 0 and start counting our fractions. Now when we put decimals on a number line, we do almost the same thing. We just have to remember how to say this decimal properly. This number is 0 and 8/10. This 8 is in the tenths place. If I were going to write this decimal as a fraction, it would look like this, 8/10. So because this decimal is in the tenths place, we're going to divide this number line into 10 segments. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the 10th one would be 1 whole. So my first segment would be 0.1 or 1/10, then 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 would be right here. This one would be 0.9, and then 1 is 1 whole. 1.0 comes after 0.9. I could put that one there too so you see it. So when we have a decimal, we're always going to break it up into 10 segments because our number here is in the tenths place. Even if our last digit is not in the tenths place, we can still break it up into 10 segments. So this is a negative number, -0.5, which is -0 and 5/10 if you want to see it as a fraction. So again, we are going to break this up into 10 pieces. Starting at 0, we go to the left for negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then -1 is my last segment, -1.0. So we start at 0. This would be -0.1 right here. The next one would be -0.2, -0.3, -0.4, and -0.5 would be right here in the middle. It is in the middle because 5/10 is halfway. 5 out of 10. If you have a pizza pie and you split it into 10 slices, if you eat 5 out of those 10 slices, you just ate half a pizza. 0.5 is half. 5/10 is the same thing as 1/2. If I simplify this fraction, divide both of them by 5, I get 1/2. So 0.5 and -1/2 are the same number. So that is how you put fractions and decimals on a number line. Okay, so now we can look at a couple word problems. The record low temperature for 5 cities are Ashton, negative 0.6 degrees. Then we have negative 2 degrees, 0.7 degrees, 0.4 degrees, and negative 1.5 degrees. I want to graph the temperatures on the number line. All right, well, let's take a different color. 1 by 1, negative 0.6. I know that I have to start at 0. This number line is already divided for me, which is really nice. It's already divided into tenths. There are 10 segments between each of the whole numbers. So negative 0.6, I'm going to go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's negative 0.6. Negative 2 degrees, well, that's right here. That's a whole number. That's nice and easy. 0.7 is positive, so I'm going to start at 0 and go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 0.4 is start at 0 and we go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. That is 0.4. And then Edgeville, negative 1.5. We can start at 0. We can go over to negative 1 and then over another 0.5. So 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, negative 1.5 is right here. Okay, so now we are able to compare. It says note the locations for the numbers Bars and Edgeville. Well, Bars is right here at negative 2. I'm going to put a B. And Edgeville is negative 1.5. I'm going to put an E right here for Edgeville. Negative 2 is to the left of negative 1.5. So the low temperature for Bars, which is right here, that's colder than Edgeville. Bars is more towards the left, which means it's smaller and colder. So if I know negative 2 is smaller and colder, my inequality will be facing in this direction or this direction, depending on how you put the numbers. I have one more up here. Mrs. Smith and Mr. Jones each have 30 students in their class. If Mrs. Smith corrected 5/8 of last week's math assignments and Mr. Jones corrected 3/4 of last week's science assignments, which teacher corrected the greater portion of the assignments? Well, first of all, how many marks on a number line would you need to graph these two fractions? I have 3/4 and I have 5/8. So because 5/8 has the bigger denominator, I'm going to need 8 marks. I'm going to need to divide this into 8 segments. And luckily, we have a number line right here that is divided into 8 segments. If I start at 0, I can count 1/8 would be here, 2/8, 3/8. Now then it says 1/2, but that's because 4/8 and 1/2 are the same number. They are equivalent to each other. Then we have 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and then 1/2 is the same thing as 8/8. So my number line is divided for us already. I want to graph these numbers on the number line. So 5/8 I see is going to go right here. 3/4 though. 3/4 doesn't have a denominator of 8. However, we can change this fraction so that it does have a denominator of 8. I can multiply this fraction, the numerator and the denominator, I can multiply it by 2 and turn this fraction into 6/8. 3/4 and 6/8 are equivalent to each other. So Mrs. Smith, this is Mrs. Smith, she graded 5/8, and Mr. Jones graded 6/8 or 3/4. So if I know 6/8 and 3/4 are the same, I can now compare 5/8 and 3/4. Which of these fractions is more towards the right on the number line? It's 6/8 or 3/4. 3/4 is more to the right than 5/8. That's how I know 3/4 is a greater number. So Mrs. Smith, who only graded 5/8, she graded less than Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones graded more than she did. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to message me. Have a lovely day.